gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August the 23rd, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, the time is now for us to introduce our player blogs for the 2022 season. It was something that we started last year. We did NIL deals with Mike Harley last year and Tyreek Stevenson last year, and to a lesser degree, Leonard Taylor. And I thought it went really, really well. So we've done NIL deals again this year. Thank you to Gonzalez and Cartwright, who's sponsoring our NIL blogs with the players. And we've got Tyreek Stevenson back for another year because he did such a spectacular job with us last year. Thought it would be great to just continue rolling it with him and keep telling his story and the team story from his viewpoint. And I think when we introduce his blog for this year on Wednesday, everybody will see why. Tyreek is just spectacular at this. And then I'm really excited to announce today that we are adding another blog this time around with Xavier Restrepo, who, Matt, I think you and I agree, if he stays healthy, will be one of the most high impact players on this Miami roster this year based on what we've seen in practice. So we thought it would be great to hear the story through Xavier's eyes. And I got to tell you, like, until we sat down with him and started working with him on this first blog, which we introduced this morning at CaneSport.com, I really didn't realize what a spectacular story he is and how much he has to say, and his background, his childhood, the way he was driven by his parents. I think people are going to really enjoy it.
Yeah, look, I'm a big fan of his, and we, when we talk to him, so the media, we all talk to him as a group, and he was just flat out not giving out any information. And we'd already arranged with him, look, we'll do a blog with you. And so Gary and I, behind the scenes talked about it, and we said, geez, should we find somebody else? It doesn't sound like he's going to really want to say anything. And then, I said, no. I said, listen, I've known Xavier for years. I covered him in high school, and it'll be fine, is what I told Gary. And as usual, I was right. Gary's fears were unfounded. Matt Shodell was once again correct in his assessment.
Here we go.
And he was fantastic. Xavier was fantastic. Nicest kid in the world.
Okay, just to be clear, who selected him to be one of our bloggers this year?
No, you asked me who I recommended. I said Xavier Restrepo. That was the first name that came out of my mouth.
How can people have such distinct memories differences as you and I have? Because I think I said, hey, we're going to do a blog with Xavier Restrepo.
No, you asked me who I thought would be good. You may have already thought it, but I'm the one who vocalized it. It wasn't an imaginary, into aura, the mist of the neurological disorders that I have that you sent.
Sometimes I feel like I have a second wife with you. Like, how it's like, whatever your wife says goes, and she's always right.
Yeah, this is my chance to be right on this show. This is the only opportunity I ever have to be right. So I'm going to take that opportunity, Gary.
Take it.
So Xavier Restrepo was great. It was our first blog with him. As these blogs go along, for those of you that follow the ones we did last year with Mike Harley, Tyreek, and occasionally Leonard Taylor when he wanted to do them.
When he wanted to do it.
When he wanted to show up. So it's going to be a similar format. The first blog with Xavier was about, hey, let's get to know Xavier Restrepo. And I thought I knew Xavier Restrepo. And I quickly realized after the first 5 minutes of him telling his story to me that I did not know Xavier Restrepo. I did not know that his father was waking him up at 4:30 a.m. when he was 6 years old to make him run football drills in the backyard and in the street. And literally, Xavier would be so sleepy and then so exhausted that he would be falling down while he's running. He said, when he said blood, sweat, and tears, and I said, blood? He says, yeah, blood. bloody knees from falling down while he was making me run, But honestly, it sounded a little bit like abuse. But Xavier loves it, And I said to Xavier, after he goes through this whole thing of all the horrors that he was put through from ages 6 through whatever, I said, Xavier, do you wish that maybe, he didn't force you to wake up at 4:30 every morning? He says, I'm so glad. I'm so thankful. I wouldn't change a thing. So to all you dads out there, listen, start waking your children up at 4:30. Run them until they're falling down on the ground, okay? And maybe your child will get a full scholarship at a high-level program like the University of Miami. That's the message I got. I missed the window with my children. I screwed up.
I did too. I already apologized to my kids. I apologized to them yesterday. I said, listen, guys, like after sitting with Xavier Restrepo yesterday down at the U and hearing his story, I apologize. Like I didn't push you guys hard enough. You could have been NFL superstars by now. And if I just woken you up at 4:30 and taken you outside and made you run sprints and do drills and stuff, you could be in the National Football League right now. And as your dad, I want to apologize to you for that.
You should apologize for more than that. But I will say I did try to teach my son on 3 different occasions. I'm not going to say which son because,
don't do that to them.
People know these children.
They are the children who thou shalt not be named.
I taught one of them on 3 different occasions. You take the big thing, being a father, you take your son out and you teach him how to ride a bike. Like that's your defining moment as a father. Everyone remembers when they learned how to ride a bike. I taught him once. I failed. I taught him a second time, and I just gave up after days of trying. I taught him a third time. To this day, all he can do, he can ride a bike. He can go straight. But if he tries to turn, he just falls on his butt. I don't know. I don't think it's my fault, but I tried. But maybe if Xavier Restrepo's father lived next door, my son would be able to ride a bicycle. That would have been nice. So listen, it was great. And, the other thing I want to mention, and this is an aside, but you look at Xavier, he's put so much work into what he's done. But and this is a total aside because it has nothing to do with Xavier. But we really haven't talked since we did a show last night, but I didn't bring it up. Before that, we didn't do a show since I think Thursday or something, right? Because we skipped Friday maybe. So I meant to mention that I got a chance to talk to Kyle Bellamy. You know Kyle Bellamy, Gary?
Yeah, the nutrition.
Oh, I thought he was a former baseball player. He's a nutritionist? Yeah, he's a nutritionist and the former baseball player. So I talked to him for a little while. At the last practice we had, he and I know him from covering the baseball team when he was actually a baseball player, and he was quite good. And he's funny, he sprints out in practice with this, I don't know what's on his back, but this giant futuristic looking backpack. Like if you picture Buzz Lightyear,
fruit punch.
He looks like a human Buzz Lightyear. Like I don't know what's on his back, but it looks like he could shoot up into the sky.
I think it's Spike Gatorade or something.
I don't know what the hell it is. But listen, in this particular practice, he didn't run out. He just was walking out and standing there. So I said, hey, Kyle, what's up? And we started chatting. And this wasn't anything on the record or off the record. I just was curious about the nutrition program under Mario Cristobal. And, as it turns out, every single morning, they have a nutrition check-in. I think it's at 6 a.m. Nutrition check-in at 6 a.m. for every player. They're eating 4 meals a day. There's a big focus on sort of trimming body fat and being lean and fast and agile. And you guys will see we have another blog that's going to be coming up. And that player talked about how, I'm not going to give away who he is, but that player talked about how...
you can give it away. I've already announced Tyreek's doing
So Tyreek Stevenson, when we run his blog, which will be the next day or two, he's got to finish it up. He was talking about how we did a blog with him last year, and he thought he was in the peak physical condition that you need to be and all this other stuff. And he realized this offseason that his nutrition wasn't right. He changed how he was eating. He, had to rehab off of this shoulder injury and really get back to almost a different way of living than what he had been that he thought was going to be working fine. So that's an aside, but that's interesting also. But yeah, I'd urge everyone to read Xavier's blog. It's great.
All right. So when I think about Xavier Restrepo, like I don't think I've been at it since he arrived here. I mean, well, let me say this. Mike Harley always stood out at practice as the hardest working receiver. Okay. When Xavier came here, he was kind of right there with Harley, but Harley, being an older guy, maybe stood out just a little bit more. Now, there's not a practice that you go to where you don't walk away saying Xavier Restrepo is at a level of his own in terms of the effort that he is giving every single rep in practice. Now, I didn't think, Matt, it was great thing when it was Harley, and I don't think it's a great thing with Restrepo because everybody should be giving maximum effort every single rep and looking to excel at the level that Xavier Restrepo is. And there's a reason why he is going into the season. He's far from the fastest guy. He's far from the best athlete, but the guy is a flat out baller. Okay. And I'll tell you right now, they are going to be, before this season's out, there's going to be a lot of opponents that are going to be double teaming this guy. You watch, and that's going to open things up for other people because I don't see how if you're going to double a slot receiver, you're giving up a lot somewhere else. And I do think, the other receivers are taking a big rap and they've earned it. I mean, they're dropping a lot of balls out there and stuff. But I mean, there were times last year, even when Keyshawn Smith did make plays, and there were times when Tyler Van Dyke was able to hit him down the field. So it's not where you want it, but it's not also the biggest disaster in the history of football either. There will be times when those guys make plays, but Xavier Restrepo is going to get a lot of attention once they get going in the season. You watch, and I pulled one of a clip from this blog on how excited he is for the year. So take a look.
Every mentor I've talked to, and I've just sat down and talked to so many people that have just been through this entire process, and they were like, look, I know the type of competitor you are, but just trust the process. That's what I've just been doing, just been working my tail off, trying to be the best version of me, trying to be the best version of what the coaches want. And I've just been grinding and just adapting, to the culture. And I'm finally going to get an opportunity this year, and I can't wait for it.
And by the way, you can see he's holding something and he's been chewing on it. I asked him off the record what that is. He said it's the bones of opposing cornerbacks that he's faced in the past. He keeps their bones and chews on them on his free time.
It's funny because
it's just the end of a pen. I guess I don't know. I don't know why. I didn't ask him. It's a little weird to be like, why do you have a pen that looks like it's been chewed up by a dog? And I know he likes to say that he's a dog on the field, but don't be a real dog, bro. Don't chew on the couch and the playbook. Behave.
Usually he's got this big chunk of dip in his mouth. I'm assuming that's what it is. It's like you've seen it, obviously.
No. He has a facial defect, Gary.
But you don't see it. You didn't see it today.
Yeah, I did, of course.
No, not to the same degree. I'm telling you, he's always chewing on something. I'm telling you.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, I mean, but he's not.
Well, I don't know what it is. I'm just telling you. We'll have to get to the bottom of it because he's always chewing on something. Whether it's whatever that thing was, when we were doing the blog.
People are gonna think it's a vape pen in these things. It's not.
No, it's not a vape pen.
He's just chewing literally on a plastic pen that has no ink cartridge in it. I don't know why. I was scared to ask because Xavier Restrepo is a scary receiver, and I'm just like an old man covering the team, and I am not going to upset a scary receiver. And look, it may have been the bones of opponents. I didn't ask. He may have been chewing on their bones. I don't know. It looked like a pen to me.
Well, he's a kid that just very, very, very high character, and he talked a little bit about how he wants to be known also, and I clipped that for you guys as well.
Most passionate football player, student athlete, person. Just know that every time I step on the field that I'm going to give everything I have, whether I risk my body or not. And just know that I'm going to try to win every single game. Yeah, when they hear Xavier Restrepo, is just know that person that you could come up to off the field, just an all-around just good person.
I love the sincerity. I mean, you can see there's nothing fake there. This is not BS, man. This is who this guy is. And if you're Mario Cristobal, you're excited that this guy is going to be one of your team leaders. And the reason that we approached Xavier about doing this blog is because of what we saw from him on a daily basis out there, and it stood out to us. So we're very excited that for this football season that you guys are going to get to experience the Xavier Restrepo blog. I think it's going to be really, really good.
Yeah, and by the way, talking about high character. So I asked him, and I think it's a fair question. I think the Josh Gaddis style of offense suits his particular skill set better than the Rhett Lashley downfield attacking style of offense. And I asked him that, but he didn't take the bait, so to speak. He said they're both great coordinators. I happen to be in either of the offenses. Blah blah blah. And he said some nice extra stuff about Josh Gaddis. But yeah, he knows what to say. He also understands his place on this team. At one point I asked him, because look, there's a lot of people saying Brashard Smith's looking really good, so maybe Xavier's going to play more than one receiver position. So I said, at some point he mentioned the NFL and college players that he's watched tape of, and he said Andre Johnson, who obviously is not a slot receiver. So I said to him, I said, are you not only going to be playing in the slot? And he says, I can't discuss that. Just like that. So, I don't know if they're going to move him around. If they're smart, they'll move him all over the place. But he's smart enough not to tell anybody, Right. So,
no, he made it pretty clear he doesn't want to talk X's and O's, which he shouldn't.
No.
He should not. But I will say they will move him around. It makes sense to move him around because
they're giving away all the secrets, Gary.
Well,
we just lost to Texas A&M because of you, Gary.
No, listen, you just mentioned you mentioned Brashard Smith, for example. Well, you can't get Brashard Smith on the field if Xavier is always in the slot. And you want Xavier on the field because he's going to garner a lot of attention. So it's going to make sense to move him around and get other guys in there, like a Brashard Smith, for example. You're going to want 2 tight ends on the field at times, maybe even 3 tight ends on the field at times. So for this offense to maximize itself and overcome maybe what they lack on the outside in a game-breaking receiver, they're going to have to scheme some stuff up, and you're going to have to be able to move guys around. And I think that's what they're going to do without giving away any formations or anything.
I mean, by the way, I'm not giving away a formation because I haven't seen this, but you can play them both in the slot. You can go 4 wide with one of the wides being a tight end split out, and you put them both left tackle, right tackle on either side, and then you have an X, and you're all good to go. So, there's
we're going to see a lot of things, Matt.
The nice thing is Josh Gaddis has a lot of options.
Yeah.
Unless you believe Gary, who says there's not a single receiver on the team other than Xavier Restrepo that's going to make a play. I said it, Gary. I said it.
I think Keyshawn Smith will make some plays.
Really?
Hopefully consistently. Xavier gave us hope. He said in 2 weeks that he thinks everything will come together. I think everybody else is going to make a play every now and then, and they're going to have bad plays every now and then. I don't think there's going to be this great metamorphosis.
Oh, how dare you? How dare you, Gary?
Listen,
Mario Cristobal watches this show every day at 4:30 in the morning. He's going to shut us down. Good job.
Mario is the first to say that position group needs to get much better.
He's told me that too. Yes.
Yeah.
No. Listen, for all of it, somebody had a comment yesterday on YouTube. All the other media is saying the receivers are fine. I'm telling you right now, inside the program, they know the receivers are not fine. Yeah, okay, so I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, if anybody's saying that on some podcast or something, stop listening to the podcast because they haven't been
seriously.
They have not been fine. There was a day last week when I was filming a drill with the receivers for about 45 seconds because they asked us to limit the clips to 45 seconds. I think if there were like 7 or 8 balls thrown in the drill, like all but one was dropped, and I had to delete. It was so bad I had to delete the video because I wasn't going to embarrass those guys and show that video on our YouTube channel. I mean, it was just really that bad. And there were some other people sitting around. We were just like looking at each other like, holy cow. Like, those guys got a lot of improvement to do. What I want to see those guys on jugs machines every day. I want to see them putting in extra time. I hope that's what they're doing. We obviously don't see them every minute of every day. I want to see some eye of the tiger to correct those problems. That's me personally.
They don't have time for jugs machines, dude. Have you seen the schedule these kids run through? There's not a minute free to do a jugs machine unless it's at midnight.
I know. But now that'll change. They're on a different schedule.
Yeah, now they have more time. There is something else I wanted to bring up, but of course now I forgot it because of my old age. what the heck was it? When you were talking, I thought of something that I needed to say, and now it's escaped me.
All right. Well, how about this?
It'll come back to me.
We got to hear from our friends at Life Wallet.
I'll think about it during that period of time.
How about we hear from our friends at Life Wallet and you figure it out while we're hearing from our friends.
I remember what it was now. But
all right. Well, you got to wait a minute now because I'm pushing the button.
I'm going to forget it by the end of Life Wallet.
Pushing the button.
I'm going to forget it. I'm going to forget it.
From our friends at Life Wallet, and I think everyone's going to like this one.
Hey sis, want to play one-on-one? What about 3-on-3? Let's do it. You're not Haley. Wait a minute.
Life Wallet user not detected.
I knew it.
Secure your health information and privacy with Life Wallet. Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
I bet by now there's some guys on campus that would like to clone the Cavendish twins.
That's just a weird thing. That's just a weird thing to say. So here's what I was going to say.
No, like multiply them. So there's more of them. I mean, like right now, there's just 2 guys on that entire campus probably. They get to go out with one of the Cavendish twins. If they really could clone them, there's a bunch of guys that would get to go out with the Cavendish twins.
Listen, I'm not going to go into your internet search history, but I'm going to suggest that you refrain from even talking about the Cavendish twins ever again. Honestly.
Oh, come on.
So
Those girls are so nice. I mean, I've had a chance to meet them. They're really nice. And the thing that impresses the crap out of me is how good they are in basketball. I don't know if that was Haley or Hannah or if they both can shoot like that. But that was like just in that commercial, that was a sweet looking jump shot she had, man.
So can I talk about what I was forgot?
Oh yeah, before you forget again. Yeah, go.
I mean, I almost forgot it already. So I found this very interesting. Okay, we were talking about the receivers having problems, and Mario Cristobal has, of any coach we've ever covered, you and I both, has let out the fewest information personally about this team of any of them. And his post Saturday scrimmage interviews with Don Bailey Jr., it's the stuff of legends, because honestly, I get as much information from that as watching a Charlie Chaplin movie.
I agree.
It's almost like a work of art, the way that he talks for 10 minutes and says absolutely nothing. And then this is what I forgot that I wanted to talk about. So then he goes 2 days later on WQAM and he does an interview, and he decides he's gonna, as Randy Shannon would tell the reporters all the time, he decides he's gonna throw us a bone. Randy Shannon used to tell us all the time. He said, I'll throw you a bone. Randy Shannon literally would say this to us. He said, I'll throw you a bone if I don't have to talk to you for the rest of the week. Which means he'll actually tell us something that he thinks we want to hear, which never is something we want to hear anyway. And we'd always be like, okay, because we know he's not saying anything anyway. And so he'd throw us the bone, which was like, somebody got hurt and he's going to be back his day to day. And then Randy wouldn't have to talk to us the rest of the week. So he threw Joe Rose a bone. But the funny thing is, to me, if you go back, and people enjoyed reading the story that we wrote off of the interview with WQAM, but if you go back and look at it, he did not single out, for the most part, any starter. It was a 5-to-1 ratio of backup players that he mentioned.
They clearly have been told no singling out people, because everybody, nobody, players, coaches, nobody is singling out anybody.
But apparently what's okay to do is to single out players like Alan Hay and players who are never, players who are just buried down the depth chart. You can single them out for praise, because, they're working hard, but they're not going to get the glory. Basically, everyone Mario Cristobal mentioned,
Akeem Messador.
He mentioned all the defensive linemen except for the 6 main ones. Everyone he mentioned, it's basically, it's basically a secret message that you're not going to be playing much, bro. If Mario Cristobal mentions your name in an interview, it's actually a bad thing. Other than John Campbell, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. That's the only one I can think of that he ever mentioned an actual starter, potential starter, and said how great they're doing. But all these guys, it was almost, again, it was like, it was like, what? What? These are the defensive linemen, Nigel Lee Kelly and Cyrus Moss and Alan Hay. These are the guys you're singling out on the defensive line for praise? Like, really? And we're supposed to be buying this? Nobody picked up on our message boards. I thought it was going to be all over the message boards. Like, what is he talking about? Why is he talking about these defensive linemen and not Akeem Messidor and Agude and Leonard Taylor and Jared Harrison Hunt? And, you can go on. Darrell Jackson wasn't mentioned. But all the, Antonio Moultrie was mentioned. I'd feel terrible for Antonio Moultrie. I'm sorry, man. You got mentioned by Mario Cristobal. Turns out your career's over, Antonio. I'm sorry. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, Antonio. You might be great. We'll see. But, that was weird, man. Like, that was weird. I've never heard an interview with us or on the radio where the head coach just talks about how great backups are doing the whole time. That's what I gathered from that interview. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
I'm not wrong. Again, not wrong.
Not wrong.
This is the only time I get to be right.
When you're right, I readily say you're right. It just is infrequent. It is what it is. All right. Other things that are on the website today, we take a closer look at the tail end of Miami's schedule. It seems so very far in the distance, but it's really not. It's only a few months in the distance. And we talk about why maybe everyone shouldn't be quite as focused on the Texas A&M game, for example, as in those last 4 games, which are going to really be the ones that probably determine the way that we all look at this football season. So it was a fun little story that we put together. Hope you guys enjoy that. We also have a few recruiting stories.
And by the way, Gary, we didn't include Virginia. It easily could have been the last 5 games, but Virginia, most people are saying Virginia is not going to be good. I personally think we could have written out about the last 5 games. Just, it doesn't make sense in the national narrative right now. But I'm telling you, when the season starts, Virginia is going to be, I think, a player in the Coastal. I really do.
I agree. I think they're going to get progressively better. And when you have a quarterback like they do, you have a chance. And there will be games that they'll win where they're not the better team because they have that quarterback. You just got to hope it's not Miami, which has to go to Charlottesville.
Yeah, right. That's a game on the road. Right. It's on the road. You just don't know. Some people on the message boards were freaking out yesterday when I said that I've been talking to some people, media and actually non-media as well, who are saying that, they've watched a lot of this team in practices which we have not been able to see, some of the people outside of the media that I've been talking to, along with media, and they think the team's overhyped and that this is not a particularly good Miami team. And, maybe some of that is just the first team offense struggling against a defense that may or may not be good. I know everyone says how great they are, but is that because the receivers are bad? Is that because the offensive line is bad? Or is that because the defense really is that good? You don't know until you play Texas A&M.
We're not going to know until September 17th. But there's a reality, Matt. When you're running 21 guys out, and we're sitting here saying there might be another 20 more that don't get to stay, starting with Marcus Clark, who's already left. I mean, that's a lot. That's telling you right there. I mean, when your starter at corner to end the last season is gone before the second scrimmage of the next fall because he just throws up his arms and sees he can't compete. I mean, you're seeing an evolution here that's not going to just be snap your fingers, everything's great everywhere. And there's going to be good moments and bad moments during this season. I think Mario knows that. He's doing the best he can. He's brought in a lot of transfers. He's fortified every area he could. He's hired an elite coaching staff. But, he's not God, and he's not going to be able to just suddenly ordain that they win every game this year. There's going to be Saturdays where it's going to be nip and tuck, like always. And the haters are going to want to say, oh, what did we change coaches for? Why did we waste our time? You're wasting your time because you're planting an infrastructure in place that is going to allow you to go to that next level in subsequent years moving forward. That's why they wasted their time. I applaud them for doing so. We've talked about it. I love absolutely everything I'm seeing in this program right now. But is it going to get them to 10 wins this year, 11 wins? I'm not ready to predict that.
Guess what? They better, because it's time for my DNR, Gary. If they don't win 10 games and you took 12 transfers that could have been used to build the future as recruits, when you're turning over half of your roster in a 2-year span, which is what they will have done by the time we're at next season this time, based on what I know they are taking in recruiting and what I know they want to get, next year in the portal based on classes, you better win 10 games because you're adding guys that are, I don't want to say secondhand, but they're secondhand, man. Like you go to the thrift store or you go to Armani. Well, not Armani. I don't know where you shop, Gary. I'm guessing Armani is somewhere from the 1970s that looks like your clothing type. But, you don't want to go to the secondhand store if you don't have to. If you have the money, so to speak, you want to build it the way that Alabama builds it, which is not taking 10,
I get it, Matt,
transfers.
But let me ask you a question. Who do you want starting at defensive end? Akeem Messidor
right.
or Cyrus Moss?
So I'm saying it based on you saying they may not win 10 games. They better win 10 games because I was upset when, Manny Diaz took all those transfers and they panned out. But you're winning 7 or 8 games with all these transfers that he took. 10 transfers, you win 7 or 8 games. 10 transfers, you win 7 or 8 games. Those could have been freshmen that could have helped the program now. These guys were here for 1 or 2 years.
Of recruiting them, Matt.
Okay, but listen.
They didn't even try to go head-to-head for the best players in the world. They knew they couldn't recruit them.
Okay, so Manny's a bad example, but I'm talking about
you're forgetting. They wouldn't even attempt. You would
that's a fair. Listen, when I make a mistake, I admit to it. That's a fair point. But what I'm trying to say is in a utopian football world, okay, where everything is.
You would have gotten freshmen, but they would have been Jags.
Well, that's why I just said you have a fair point. If that's the case, of course you don't want to do that. But you also don't want to take guys who are here for 1 or 2 years when you're winning 7 or 8 games. So if they win 8 games this year and they took all these 12 transfers who are still going to be here, next year, almost all of them, out of the 40 guys you got rid of, there's going to be, probably by this time next year, 15, including new transfers that will be just transfers from other programs. Yeah, that's not for me, man. If you're getting a Jalen Phillips who's great for 1 year, if that's a year where you're winning 11 games, that makes sense to me. If that's a year where you're winning 8 games, where you can get a 4 or 5-star defensive end, that doesn't make sense to me. Even though Jalen Phillips was a first rounder, I'll take the 4 or 5-star defensive end if you're not winning 10 games. Because what's the point? Build for a championship. Don't build to win 8 or 9 games, man. Like that's me. This coaching staff can recruit the hell out of things. This coaching staff does everything right. This coaching staff coaches guys up. There's no reason to be taking double-digit transfers to win 8 or 9 games your first year. They have to win 10 this year, in my opinion, or it was a bad move to take 12 transfers. I will say if this season's over and they won 8 or 9 games and they didn't win the ACC championship, I'm going to say they shouldn't have taken 12 transfers. If you disagree with me, you're wrong.
No, I'm not wrong because let me put it to you this way. If they don't take these transfers, we're sitting here saying, is there a way for this team to get to 6? Tell me that's not the truth. If Manny, let's put that
I could win 6 games as the coach with that schedule.
No, time out. If Manny Diaz is still here because Andres Borregales makes that kick against Virginia and somebody makes a play on 4th and 17 against
I'm not talking about Manny Diaz coaching this year's team.
I'm asking you a question. Wait a minute. If none of that happens, Manny's still the coach. All these transfers that are very good players don't get taken. Tell me that we're not sitting here right now, this morning, on this show, saying, is there any way that this team can get to 6 victories?
It was a hopeless cause with Manny Diaz. That's not the reality now. The reality now is
you got me all wound up. I got to take a drink now.
The reality is he took 12 transfers and he wants to win a national title, but he knows he's probably not going to win. He's not going to win it this year. He'll tell you.
No, they're going to try to get to 9 so they have momentum to build on recruiting.
Yeah,
you had to do it.
But you know what? You probably would have won 8 or 9 games without 12 transfers. That's the truth.
No, we would be sitting here talking about 6, Matt. 6. If they don't have all these, defensive linemen,
6 wins.
The veteran defensive linemen they picked up, we're sitting here talking about can they get to 6?
So you're talking about they beat Duke, Bethune, Southern California, Middle Tennessee State. That's 4. You're saying they only can beat 2 other teams. Georgia Tech is going to be a problem for them, you think? I mean, that's 5. FSU.
Everybody would be. Everybody would be.
Virginia Tech, North Carolina.
Listen, they lost to a Georgia Tech team a few years ago.
They'd have to lose every other 50-50 game on the schedule.
Matt, they lost to a Georgia Tech team that won 3 games a few years ago. They lost to FIU a few years ago. That's what we would be looking at. Seriously. That's my opinion.
With Mario Cristobal as the coach, I respectfully disagree.
Well, because Mario went out and got players.
No, because Mario knows how to coach and call plays. And he brought in coaches who know how to call plays. And he brought in coaches that know how to teach technique. If Miami had tackled last year, if they had a coach who knew how to teach tackling, Manny Diaz would still be the coach. There's a reason he's not still the coach, and it's not because he couldn't recruit, which he couldn't. It's also because he couldn't coach tackling as a defensive coordinator. Like, that's unacceptable. Linebackers coach defensive coordinator, and none of them can tackle.
Linebackers, which he was responsible for. But we're not talking about him. We're not even supposed to be naming him. But look, I mean, I think I'm right on this. I think we'd be saying, can they get to 6? But anyway, couple recruiting stories on the website this morning, because I know most of you people out there got to get to your offices. We catch up with a key 2024 prospect, Zaquan Patterson from Chaminade High. He talks about where the Canes fit into his thinking. We also had an interesting update from his teammate, 4-star 2024 receiver Jeremiah Smith. I think you'll like that one as well. It's Hollywood Chaminade Day at CaneSport.com. All right, we're off to the practice field this morning. We'll have tons of coverage for you from out on Green Tree as the day goes forward. Make sure you're on the website midday when that stuff starts to land. We thank you so much, as always, for spending your morning with us on this show, putting up with Matt Shodell.
What did I do?
I know.
By the way, Gary, is it you who keeps on posting these? Did you catch Manny's tweet before he erased it? Is that you?
No.
Have you seen those? That's a very funny.
It's funny.
It's
obviously a joke, but it's funny. Yeah.
Don't let the cat out of the bag. People think it's real. It's a great idea. Did you catch Manny Diaz's tweet before you erased it? And they post crazy stuff that Manny's supposedly saying about Mario and Penn State and the Miami program. It's freaking hilarious, man.
All right. Despite Matt, hit your like button, hit your subscribe button. It helps us with YouTube somehow.
Is there a dislike? Is there a dislike button?
I don't. They're just put your thumbs down. I don't know.
I want to have. You know what? I want to get a thumbs down right over your head right now and just click it. That's all I want to do. I want a thumbs down button.
Supposedly it helps us with YouTube if you like and subscribe. So please do so. And more than anything, if you're not a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please join us. We've got this $1 introductory special on our new site. Information has been scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We want to unite the fan base, bring everybody together. This is going to be one heck of a fun season in one way, shape, or form.
You know what? You know what, Gary? I'm gonna make a deal. If we get how many likes would we have to get for me to have to be positive for an entire show? I'll make a deal. If we hit a certain number of likes, I don't know how many likes we usually hit in a given day.
Wait, I'll tell you. We usually hit let's see. Yesterday's show we had 159 likes.
All right. So if we hit, what should I make it? 250? I want to make something that's very unlikely.
Make it 250 likes.
All right. I want something very unlikely. If we hit 250 likes, so please, everybody, do not like the show, okay? If we hit 250 likes, I will be positive the entire show, and hopefully Gary will be negative, so he can take some of
the funny thing is, we had that 159 likes, but we only had a 97% approval rating. So that means we had 3% of people that did not like the show.
3% out of, what is it, like 2,000 watches? That's a lot.
Yeah, multiple thousands, yeah. So pretty funny stuff. But no, we appreciate all you guys that do watch the show and wake up with us every morning. And I guess we'll see you tomorrow. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We're headed off to Green Tree. Be on the website midday, and we will see you tomorrow. Goodbye, everybody.